Konnichiwa minasan, J League Show e yokoso. Something a little bit new there, bit of Japanese. Welcome back to the J League Show. We got plenty to talk about. So, if you do enjoy the series, please make sure to like and subscribe. Got plenty of goals this week to go through. One less game as well because there was a match postponed. But I hope you do enjoy the episode today. So, with that being said, roll the intro. Okay, so we're back again. More J League stuff. I hope that maybe some of you took up the option to start following the league and start looking at how good it actually is. So let's get straight into the games then. So the first game up is Hokkaido Consadole Sapporo, as with last week I think, who lost 6-1 to Kawasaki Frontale, who at the moment are just like absolutely rampant. Like they're so good. I said in the last episode that if there is a team to watch, it would be Kawasaki. And again today, just unreal. The 1-2s and the attacking play so fluid. And in all honesty, actually, the first half was very even. Which looking at the scoreline, you'd probably think, well, surely that's not the case. But it was only 1-0 to Kawasaki at half time, and Hokkaido actually started pretty well. They had a couple of shots close on goal, and I was thinking, you know what, maybe there's a chance for them, but Kawasaki just too good. A fantastic first goal, by the way, brilliantly delivered free kick, lovely floated header, and they really sort of took the control of the game from then on. It was almost like Hokkaido almost sort of gave up. They could have actually equalised fairly close afterwards. Chanatip Songkrasin hitting the bar. Apart from that, they didn't create too much, and Kawasaki in the second half were just unreal. Very lucky goal for Leandro Damiao, and then a couple of goals for Yuko Bayashi, really well worked as well. A lovely bit of individual play, for the first goal that he scored, and the second one as well. A lovely bit of team play. The 1-2s though, just in and around the 16-yard area, were just so good, and Hokkaido just couldn't deal with them. And Hokkaido are a decent team at home, so to lose 6-1, pretty poor for them. But, of course, they did get a consolation when they were 4-0 down. Jay Bothroyd, of all people, getting a goal. A bit of an old-school name there for English Football League fans. But Kawasaki, yet again, showing why they're top of the league. 9 wins and a draw now from the opening 10 games. They look unstoppable. And it's safe to say that there's going to be a lot of teams struggling to catch them up, even with Gamba and Cerezo playing pretty well. Of course, Gamba Osaka's game against Sagan Toss was postponed for today, so don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm sure I'll update you when it does. Brilliant fluid play, solid defensively. They look really good at the moment. Hokkaido disappointing. To be honest, I didn't expect them to win this game. They could have put up more of a fight. They're a much better team than 6-1. I mean, there's teams that have come a lot closer than that against Kawasaki, so yeah, not a good one for Consadole Sapporo. But Kawasaki, still front runners for the league, and very confident in doing so as well. So I can't see many people stopping them. But yet again, you know, Sanfrecce Hiroshima, I think a couple of years ago, had like an 11-point gap, and they bottled that. So you never know with this league. It's a bit nuts. So we'll have to wait and see. Next game up is a very, very surprising one, actually. Yokohama beating Shonan Bellmare by 4-2. And the reason why this was so surprising was because Yokohama FC have been fairly average. I mean, they are fighting relegation. I mean, to be honest, this is a huge 6-pointer with Bellmare bottom of the league and Yokohama only a couple of places above them. But they were 4-0 up within 20 minutes of this game, and they looked very good going forward. Shonan defensively, no idea what they're doing, and they just look so shaky. And even against a Yokohama team that aren't the best attacking wise, they just don't look like they're able to sort of breach anyone. And or keep anyone at bay, and it just resulted in what was a very poor first half performance. I mean, Yokohama scored after 3 minutes. I mean, come on, like, that's just, you can't, with the relegation 6 pointers, especially at this stage of the season, you've got to try and make sure that you do at least stay solid, and Shonan just didn't do that whatsoever. Yusuke Matsuo then got 2 goals as well to make it 2 and 4-0, and then in between that there was a penalty as well. So yeah, not a good first half. But there was actually a bit of an error of a comeback in the second half. They got 2 goals, and they scored the second one on 76 minutes. So there was 14 minutes there where 1 goal for Shonan Bellmare would have really put a cat amongst the pigeons in that sense. And maybe could have seen a comeback. But it was too little too late. And a really, really impressive win for Yokohama. I think that'll give them a big boost. And it sort of takes them a little bit further away from that relegation. But they're still in 16th, but it's a big win. And with Sagan Toss playing Gamba Osaka, you would expect Gamba Osaka to win that one. So it's a big 3 points for Yokohama, which could mean them staying up towards the latter stages of the season, should they get into a bit of a rough patch. But winning games against the teams they're competing against can never hurt. Next, very forgettable game. Vegalta drawing 0-0 with Shimizu S-Pulse. Not really much to say about this one. It was a pretty poor draw. Both teams are sort of struggling down at the lower half of the table at the moment. So I think probably a 0-0 was a very predictable result. But having said that, you know, sometimes these games can end up very high scoring either way. So, you know, and you can never tell in this league. But yeah, very disappointing 0-0 draw. Doesn't really suit either side. I think both sides would have really wanted 3 points. They've both been in alright form. I mean, to be fair, Shimizu were unbeaten in their last 5, and Vegalta have lost 3 of their last 5, so you could say that technically Shimizu are in better form, but they're both still very close to that relegation scrap. It's quite close there between Sagan Toss and Vegalta Sendai. I think Sendai are on like 10 points, Sagan Toss are on about 7, so it's close down there. And yeah, this draw doesn't suit either of them. I think they'll be ruining their chance to get one up over on teams around them. Next up, we have actually a very surprising result. I said last time that Oita Trinita were sort of dropping off a cliff, off the face of a cliff, but they've stopped the rut, and they've stopped it in impressive style with a win against the holding champions, the reigning champions, Yokohama F Marinos. 1-0. And I have to say, it was a good goal as well. And Oita Trinita played really decent, actually. Well, more so in the second half. The first half, it was very much a tale of 2 halves, this game. Yokohama dominated the first half. They should have really scored. But Oita in the second half were playing some really nice stuff. And a brilliant through ball, actually, for the goal. They raced clear. It was like a 2-on-1. Passed it across goal. And a simple finish. But again, they did pretty well, Oita Trinita. They've looked okay. They're sort of one of those teams where they'll put in a couple of decent performances, but they just don't have enough to get themselves over the line. But a clean sheet is massive for them, particularly after that first half where they could have very easily conceded. I was sort of expecting Yokohama to pull away from them a little bit, but it's a huge win for Trinita, who really needed that because they've been on such a poor run of form, and that is a massive result for them. And sort of mirrors their early season form, wherein they were playing some nice football, creating chances. And I think that second half is very much reminiscent of the start of the season, Oita Trinita, that we had, that were, you know, after what, 4 games, were virtually in the top 4. So yeah, it's good to see them get back to winning ways. But again, Yokohama Marinos, I mean, it's an awful season for them. Whether they sack their manager or something changes, I mean, something has to change. You can't be the reigning champions and sit in mid-table. I mean, come on. They've been so poor and inconsistent this season. It really is a miracle as to how they're going to turn this season around, really. But that's the magic of the J-League. You know, we never know what's going to happen. And even title-winning sides can finish mid-table. Poor Yokohama. Hopefully they can try and at least salvage something from this season, but you never know. Probably not. Right, so the next game would have been, of course, Sagan Toss against Gamba Osaka, but that was postponed. So we'll move on to Urawa Reds, who beat Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Of course, Urawa lost 6-2 out to Nagoya Grampus last time, and they actually won a match this time and kept a clean sheet, which again just shows you how weird this league can be. But Urawa were pretty decent in this game, but they were definitely saved by their goalkeeper Nishikawa, who made some superb saves. He saved an overhead kick from 12 yards out from Leandro Pereira. They actually took the lead through Leonardo, not Leandro, who I said last time out. It is Leonardo. His 7th goal of the season now, so he's joint with Everaldo with Kashima Antlers. Of course, Michael Alunga is still 4 goals clear with 11, but it's a good season for him, and he's definitely the main source of goals for Urawa, if that wasn't obvious already. This is a huge win for them, as it takes them into 6th place, and they were mid-table last time, and I said this about Kashima and Urawa. If they just get a couple of wins, they can climb up the table, and that's exactly what they've done. And I think if Leonardo continues his goal scoring form, and they can learn how to defend and not lose too many games, 6-2, then honestly I think they'll be okay. Disappointing for Sanfrecce though. They played really well last time out, and they played really well in this game as well, and they just haven't had the goals to show for it. They should have won by more than 1-0 last time. I think it was against Shonan Bellmare. This time out against Urawa, they could have scored more, and they drew a blank. So that's definitely an area of concern that they'll have to look into. But a really solid result for Urawa, and they hopefully get a bit more positive form now. Right, next is a big game actually. FC Tokyo against Nagoya Grampus. 2 of the sides competing for the top 3, and Tokyo's inconsistent form has been well documented in the J-League side of things, and I mentioned it last week saying that they just don't look the same as last season, and that's, to be honest, that was the case in this game as well. They were decent without being, too amazing. Nagoya got a man sent off towards the end of the game, which didn't make too much of a difference, but a really important win for Tokyo, and Nagoya will be let down really by that performance. They would have wanted to build a bit of momentum after that 6-2 win against Urawa, but of course it's always difficult to back up a performance as good as that with something very similar, and against a better team I think in FC Tokyo. And it's a big win for FC Tokyo, to be honest, because it takes them into 4th place. They're now only a couple of points off Cerezo in 2nd, and a point off, or 1 or 2 points off Gamba Osaka, who obviously have yet to play. It does a lot of good for the momentum of the team, because when you're looking at 6th place and you're thinking, if we drop another couple of points, I mean, they've drawn quite a few games, so they were starting to hit this bit of a rut, but they've managed to get the 3 points now, and they've managed to sort of get themselves over the line against a team that they're competing against as well, not a team, fighting relegation. This is a team that they are directly competing against, so they'll be really pleased with that performance. And Nagoya drawing a blank after a 6-goal haul last time out. I think maybe they probably used up all of their goals in that game against Urawa, but very happy to see Tokyo back into winning ways. They're a good team to watch, and hopefully this means more competitive battles for that top 3 position. Okay, next up is another big game this week. Kashiwa Reysol against Cerezo Osaka. Now this was a really important game for Kashiwa. I said last time out how much I enjoyed watching them play and how good Michael Alunga was, and he did score in this game, in fairness. It was a consolation in the end. Cerezo taking the lead after 5 minutes through Bruno Menge, then another couple of goals, an own goal from a set piece, and then a really good finish by Nishikawa, not to be confused with Urawa's Nishikawa, in the 87th minute. Michael Alunga getting his goal, big mistake from Cerezo's goalkeeper. They'll be really disappointed to basically just give up a clean sheet. Passed it straight to Alunga, who just took it round him and scored. A very easy finish for him, and that's 11 goals now for Kashiwa in 10 games. So the guy's doing bits for them, and he could get poached if they don't finish that high up in the table. Because can you imagine him playing for a team like Kawasaki? I mean, they'd literally be unbeatable. I mean, they're unbeatable without his sort of goal input. So yeah, really important play for Kashiwa, and that's a disheartening result for Kashiwa. This was a real chance for them to test themselves against the sort of the big boys of the division that are playing well at the moment, and they have got some decent results against the better teams, but I think this is a real missed opportunity for them to really push for the top 3. I mean, they sit in 7th now, which is pretty crazy. They've gone from 4th to 7th with just 1 loss, but that's how close it is at the moment in the division. So yeah, there's not really too much that they can do about that. But it's in the same vein. If they win next week and Cerezo lose, then they're right back in it. So it can really swing either way. But it wasn't their best game, to be honest. I think they just had a bit of an off day, Kashiwa. Right, on to the last game of the week, and a very good game actually. I really enjoyed this one. Kashima Antlers 2, Vissel Kobe 2. Vissel Kobe were very annoyed with themselves in this one, because this was the first game where they actually looked really good going forward, and they took the lead through, I think it was Dankler, of all people, who had such a bad game last time out. He was honestly terrible. He gave them the lead, but then the main man for Kashima, Everaldo, smashed in an equaliser, and at that point you're thinking, oh, is it going to switch maybe? Because Vissel were playing well, but no, they took the lead again. Fantastic goal through Yuta Goke. Brilliant finish from just outside the box. Iniesta well involved actually in the play. He looked a lot more lively in this match. I think sometimes Iniesta, the problem is I think they do rely on him a bit, Vissel Kobe, and they rely on him to get everything going, but you know, he's no spring chicken, so he's not going to be running around the pitch all the time. But they were looking really good, and to be honest, towards the end of the game, Kawasaki piled on the pressure, and I think with Vissel Kobe this year, you don't have the trust in them to really see a game out, and that was exactly the case for them. They had to clear so many shots and block so many shots, and a fantastic save actually from their goalkeeper to prevent Dankler scoring an own goal. This guy's like a secret agent for both teams, I swear, man. It was a brilliant save. It was a cross that was put in, and Dankler tried to sort of clear it, side foot it, and it almost went in, and the goalkeeper managed to claw it off the line. And at that point you're thinking, maybe this is their day, maybe they're going to get away with it. But no, in the last minute, Yotaro Araki, the 18-year-old, in his first ever J-League appearance, scores in the 94th minute off the bench, sends Kashima absolutely crazy, and I think a well-deserved point for Kashima. I think they played pretty well in this game. I think a draw was a fair result. Both teams had quite a lot of shots on goal, but again, Vissel Kobe just not seeing the games out. And that's the biggest difference for them. That's why they're still mid-table and struggling. I think they're in 9th. But Kashima as well, another big club in Japan that are underperforming. So at the end of the day, it was good entertainment. And Vissel Kobe, you have to feel a little bit bad for them. But what a moment for Araki as well. 18 years of age. Looks to be a big talent. Really well taken goal. Took it in his stride well. Chopped in with his instep and finished it with his opposite foot into the bottom corner. And yeah, he looks a decent little talent. He looked lively when he came on, and I think he deserved the goal. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. Maybe he's the next brightest hope for Kashima. We'll have to wait and see. But that brings us to an end for this week. I hope you enjoyed this round of fixtures. I know I did. Personally, I found it very entertaining as always. Plenty of goals, plenty of action, plenty of topsy-turvy encounters, and that's why we love the J-League. The next episode, I'm not sure when it's going to be because I'm going camping this week and I'm not going to be able to edit or maybe even record the next episode. I might record it and just upload it as a straight video with no editing, just to maybe just get the video out there, but we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of editing for me to do in the meantime, so until then, I hope to see you guys in the next one.